ready?
Wow.
Yes, we are.
Are we ready?
Where did you get that?
The team store.
Okay.
Wow. Look at you.
Mere $130. Why not?
Wow. Okay.
Super Bowl only comes around once in a while.
That is true, John.
Except for here in Philadelphia. It's free.
That is 100% true. Yep.
Neat.
So here we are, a mere 4 days away from the actual game.
Still 4 more nights.
I know, right? We were just chatting, and apparently everybody was watching Super Bowl 52 last night.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so pretty cool, pretty jacked up, and yeah. So
How did that end anyway?
yeah, how did it end?
Well,
It's a lot easier to watch.
Yes.
Knowing the ending, right?
Yeah, a lot easier to watch.
That ball falls at the end.
Well, it was funny at the end because it was, I don't know, a minute left, whatever they had left to go down, and they second, third down, whatever they did, and they kept missing. I'm like, I don't remember this like this. I remember they got pretty far down the field because they at least threw a big bomb, and then that's right when they started going down the field for that last throw. So, yeah, I guess it all happened within that last couple seconds. I forgot.
Yeah.
I think when you're watching it, you're so anxious and you're just like on the edge of your seat that watching it afterwards, knowing what happened, you can appreciate some of the stuff a little bit more. Like there's a couple things like the Philly special I didn't realize was on a 4th down play.
Yeah.
I kind of like forgotten about that. And I know about, Brandon Graham, obviously, the strip sack with Brady, but I didn't remember it being, in the last 2 minutes of the game, that basically being like the game.
Oh yeah.
Because you're on the edge of your seat and it's a blur for most of it until it's over. So you just things. I mean, Corey Clement, besides being part of the Philly special, that had to have been his best game ever.
Yeah, he had a lot of good moments in that game.
100 yards receiving, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you just wonder where all those other guys are, So we started looking up some guys to see where they're at, who's out of football, who's still playing,
who? I'm curious. Like
Garrett Blunt.
Yeah, and some of those guys are, let's say, 35 years old, and that's very old for a running back. So you figure they're not playing, but
Jalen Mills, I think, is with the Jets.
I think that's what it said. Oh no, someone was with the Jets.
Jalen Mills, I think, is with the Jets. Somebody's with the Ravens.
One of the receivers, Aguilar, maybe.
Yeah,
Nelson Aguilar. Yep.
But
but the rest of them are all out of football. Wisniewski's retired. Jay Ajayi's retired, and he's only like 31.
Corey hasn't officially retired yet.
Okay. Well, okay, so I shouldn't say it says they've retired. It says that they're former professional football players.
Right.
Well, Jay Ajayi, he had a couple injuries, so that's why, even though he's younger, he's not.
Yeah. But, it's funny to watch those guys and think, okay, who are all those guys now? Corey Clement, that's, Saquon Barkley, just trying to figure out that team and who the guys currently are that are going to become those guys. Because hopefully, 8 years from now, I'm watching that same Super Bowl.
So here we are, Super Bowl 59, and who's the backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs?
My favorite guy.
Your favorite guy. That number 11, Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Go figure. There's a lot of parallels, running, with the Chiefs and the Eagles, of course. None bigger than Coach Reed, who has done a phenomenal job there in Kansas City. I don't know that any Philadelphia Eagles fan would have ever thought that things would have gone the direction that they've gone for him and the Chiefs organization over these. How many years is he there now? 10, 11?
It was 12.
12 years. Who would ever thought that?
Well, he does have Not saying he's not a good coach, but he does have a little bit of luck there with having that quarterback. I mean, that helps the one of the worst teams out, but that's still amazing what he's accomplished.
Yeah, and I mean, and he wasn't even the guy in the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say they fell into good luck with Patrick Mahomes, but he's a very good player. But he's probably a better pro than he is college player. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he's had, and I'm going back to last night with Super Bowl 52 and watching Tom Brady, sit on the field, at the very end of the game. And I guess all the parallels today is Patrick Mahomes the next Tom Brady?
Well,
sure.
If you look at the team, that was a very gritty team, but this seems like a much better team if you put them next to each other. Like there were a lot of guys that, there weren't really many big stars on that team. It was just a lot of guys helping out. There's
the Eagles?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some, big name players and receivers on this team where, not that you're ever expecting a win, necessarily against the Chiefs because they're tough to play, but this is a much better team than that was, I feel. So you would imagine, they should be in good shape.
Yeah, I agree with you. Player for player. I mean, they had some. I mean, there were some future Hall of Famers on that team. You know what I mean? So, you got Kelsey, you got Cox, you got Graham. So, there's
Jenkins.
I mean, how cool was it? I don't remember, seeing the footage of Malcolm being mic'd up for the game, but that was another cool feature to have last night because he was very vocal during the game.
True.
And again, a defensive leader. He was one of the guys. And he wasn't afraid to get in his teammates' faces during the whole game. We gotta stay with this kind of mentality. So, very interesting, very, very interesting. 3 Super Bowls in 8 years.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Kansas City's going for 3 Super Bowls in a row. So, here we are back at it again with Kansas City.
Yep. And then also got Tom Brady, like you're saying, tying it back to Tom Brady, he's announcing the game.
Yep.
So, it's
yep.
Again, full circle, there as well. Now he's doing that. And
yep.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's, who would have thought, with the Chiefs going for their three-peat, that the Eagles are on bookends on both sides of, hopefully we stop them this time from going for the three-peat. But
sending looking at it, and I'm not a Chiefs fan. I don't follow them as closely as some people may. I watch them because they're the premier game on just about every week. But they've been different teams every year.
Oh yeah.
As far as the running back position, the wide receiver position, the only two, that have stayed the same are Travis and Patrick.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, that team flips players, whether it's just due to age, injuries, they're always changing.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
So my question to you guys is, why is it that Andy Reid is so successful in Kansas City and seem to struggle for the most part here in Philly? I mean, is it possible that it's all just having Mahomes?
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I mean, it's all about the quarterback nowadays. It's all about the quarterback. Andy had his issues here in Philly. You know what I mean? He had a great quarterback in Donovan, but Donovan couldn't get us to the finish line. You know what I mean?
Well, you're mentioning also that every year they have new players that are stepping in. So, maybe that means they have what they have now in Kansas City. Maybe that's better than what the Eagles had at that point as far as drafting and coaching, other than Andy. You need a whole set of people around you. So maybe the people that he has in place now are better than he had back then, or maybe Donovan just couldn't get it done. I mean,
I guess.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of questionable, players. We were just talking about Corey was talking about Terrell Owens,
Right.
On Saturday. You know what I mean? What was the demise of Terrell Owens in Philadelphia? He couldn't get along with anybody.
Yeah.
The media, the press, Donovan, but yet, he made plays. Could you imagine if you ever were, able to get him on the same page as his teammates and, forget about me kind of thing?
Absolutely.
But I think Andy, learned a lot in Philadelphia that he's doing differently in Kansas City.
Yeah, I would buy that too. I don't know. I guess as just an Eagles fan, it's just irritating.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
It's like it's like watching your ex go on and have the best life ever somewhere else. It's just frustrating to see him have such success, and he was a coach here for so long, and we don't really have a ton to show for it.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I mean, we really didn't have a whole lot to talk about today. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it the Andy Reid show, but I mean, he had a lot of personal issues, a lot of family, problems, with his boys. And I think, it came down to the fact that he needed a change of scenery.
Oh, yeah.
He needed to change his scenery. Where it was going to be, we didn't know. I don't think Jeffrey Lurie knew when he let him go, what was going to, be the end all. But it was the best fit for everybody, I think.
Sure.
So
yeah, timing wise, it needed to go. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he was the 4 NFC championships, so it wasn't like he wasn't winning. And to come back to your question, it really came down to the quarterback. I mean, McNabb was very good to a certain extent, but he wasn't Mahomes, where Mahomes could take lesser talented wide receivers and win, where McNabb wasn't able to do that. And the only time he really did it was with Owens, and and unfortunately, they ran into the Patriots when the Patriots were, starting their dynasty at that time. And Owens got hurt, right before, but he had a monster Super Bowl. But you look at the wide receivers that we had, and it wasn't like we were having, and it's not that, and Kansas City is kind of the same way. They don't have, the big name wide receivers like we do right now, but they have Mahomes, which is,
not a Todd Pigston fan, no.
Well, no, it's just, I'd rather have Devontae Smith than AJ Brown now. I mean, it's a little bit nicer to throw to, right?
Sean brings up a great subject about the clock management thing. Man,
Yeah.
we ran our heads into the wall watching every game with Andy with the clock management thing.
Right. That and not running the ball, where it was, I mean, it's different. I mean, it's still, I think a lot of the things are the same thing with Kansas City. It really just comes down to the quarterback. I mean, he's able to make those little plays that we weren't able to do.
I mean, I throw a lot of credit to Travis Kelce's direction as well.
Well,
because
absolutely.
I think he's a leader. He's a playmaker. He draws the double coverage. He does all the tangibles.
And he steps up big in the big times. So
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure. So I guess the big question that I have right out of the gate, how do we win this game Sunday? I mean, what is it going to come down to? I mean, I know I have my opinion, and that I think they need to, run the ball. But I mean, is there a different direction? Because I know the Eagles aren't they're not the conventional team. They'll do things that, you're going to, start shaking your head about early on. but is that the direction that they need to win this game?
Well, I'm sure they're going to run it. Everyone knows that. So I'm sure that the Chiefs the last 2 weeks have just been studying that and how they could try to figure out how to stop it in some aspects. So you want to make sure you have a couple passes in there every now and then, so it's not, working Saquon to death. But I don't know. I would say score early and always try to stay ahead, because if you play from behind against the Chiefs, that's tough. They're usually the team this year that's come back a lot. You want to stay ahead of them as much as you can. When you watch that Super Bowl game, I mean, for the most part, there was a couple times where the Eagles, got in a little bit of trouble there, but they always figured out a way to stay ahead. You always want to stay even, a touchdown and a half ahead, so that they can't just get it and come back. That last play was 8. They didn't need 8 points. It would have been a miracle for them to get that. You need to do that.
2 scores, right?
Yeah.
I almost just really want to replicate what happened against the Rams. Against the Commanders, a full team effort. We're not to score, 50 plus points, but I just want, that felt like a complete game. Everybody was on the same page. All the things were clicking. We seem to be, all on the same page. I want that same thing again, because if one thing is off, that could be the difference maker.
Yeah.
John, what's your breakdown?
I think it's going to come down to the defense. In the red zone, holding the Chiefs to a couple field goals. We can't let them score touchdowns every time they get the ball or they're scoring. If we could hold them to a couple of field goals here and there, because they're going to move the ball, as well. That'll be the difference. And then for us, kind of the same thing. I mean, like Lauren said, not that we're going to have the same game and score 50 points with Washington, but they were 7 for 7 in the red zone scoring touchdowns. Be consistent, be 100% scoring touchdowns, whether it's 3 for 3, 2, whatever it is. When you're in there, score on the offense as well, because that's where it's going to come down to. Because we were talking about it the other day. Patrick Mahomes has played 132 games in his career, and only 8 games that he lose by more than 8 points in 8 of those game points. So they're always in tight games. So if you can get them to kick a field goal and you save 4 points, once or twice throughout the game, that could be the difference in a 27-21 game, or 21-17 score.
Well, our defense, and I don't mean to cut you short,
Yeah.
but you're talking defense, and that was one of my points was, who has the better defense? You know what I mean? Do the Eagles have the better defensive team? Because we've gone up against, we went up against Jaden Daniels with Washington twice.
Yeah.
We went up against, the Rams with Stafford. We went up against Burrows with Cincinnati. We've gone up against, some big time quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson as well.
And this defense has come to play.
Oh yeah.
They've come to play. They've gotten better across the front, across the middle, and the back end. This team is so much better from the beginning of the season to the middle of the season to this day. So,
absolutely. Yeah, no, they have. And, with them, it's those other teams, unlike Kansas City, they don't make the mistakes typically, in games that they play too much. And when they do make those mistakes, that's when they lose. But, just like Washington in that first drive had that 17-play drive, ended up in a field goal, which was great for the defense. And then Barkley on the first play on offense scored the touchdown, and the game was over from there. Kansas City will try to do that methodically, go down the field, score, take 10 plays, 15 plays, burn the clock out on you so that you're sitting on the sidelines and you're not able to give it to Barkley and too much. And so it's just you got to make them make a couple mistakes. You know, have a couple of penalties, have a couple of plays, you know, for losses or whatever. You know, make them, you know, a couple incomplete passes, which I think our defense can handle. You know, the guys in the back end, and just got to keep tackling well. You know, because that's what we've really tackled well defensively this year, and with Fangio's defense, they're not going to let you go over the top. They're going to let you catch things up in the middle, up in front, and then we swarm to the ball and tackle them. So if we can do that and keep them wait, you know, in third and long instead of third and shorts, you know, the defense should have a good day.
Well, it was interesting. It's interesting watching that Super Bowl game, how good Jake Elliott was. So that's another thing. It's a little, you know, not that he hasn't, but it's a little
different.
It's a little scary, you know, if it comes down to one big kick and he's got to kick a 60-yard field goal, and you just
in 2018 you would have put him out there against anybody.
And he was a rookie then, you know what I mean? So he was solid. So you're hoping that you don't have to come to something like that. And then, you know, not that you're looking for like trick plays, but you need to keep Kansas City a little bit on their toes a little bit. So everyone likes to tush push here and then because it gets done, but you know, maybe a fake-a-roo tush push every now and then or something else, just so that you can, you know, everyone expects that. And they're a good team too. So, you know, hope they've figured out a couple different, you know, new plays that they might be able to throw in. So it's just not the same, unless it's working. If it's working, that's fine. But if it's not, the first couple of times it's not working, change it up.
I think one of the biggest differences we'll see between 2 years ago and this Sunday is honestly Nick Sirianni. Just having the experience of already having been to the Super Bowl once, learning from that. The two coordinators he has now seem to just be perfect. So I think that just in a nutshell will be really the difference maker. It's just sort of the calmness that he might have this year just from experience and having been there. You know, a couple of the guys were there in 18 when you won. What do you have? Lane Johnson, Jake Elliott, and Brandon Graham. Are they the three guys?
No, who else?
The long snapper, right? Lovato,
yeah.
Who else?
I think that's it. Like Lauren said, I think there wasn't many that were left.
Yeah, there's only a few.
So you have some veteran guys in there to help these guys sort of understand what that moment looked like, but so many of them were also on the team 2 years ago when you didn't win.
Yeah.
I think it's just taking that experience. It just, for me personally, it feels different this time. This one feels a little bit different than it did 2 years ago.
Well, I think because that last game they did so well and there's that momentum there. Now you have 2 weeks off, so everyone can rest up. I get it. But if you're Nick Sirianni or whoever's talking to these guys before, not that you need to because they're adults, but say, hey, remember 2 weeks ago how you felt, you know, how you were feeling and how everyone worked together. Let's one more game where everyone just works together and no one needs to give it to the backup running back if he wants a touchdown. Give it to a different receiver to get a touchdown. I mean, who cares as long as you win the game?
Oh, bottom line. Yeah, so, Sean brings up a good point about, you know, Barkley, you know, throwing a pass. I mean, that would certainly be the ultimate gimmick play for a Super Bowl, expecting Barkley to run the ball.
You could get a little Philly special 2.0.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of my point with Nick Sirianni is that I don't know that he had that confidence 2 years ago to try something like that. I mean, that was, you know, for lack of a better term, that was a pretty ballsy play between Doug Peterson and Nick Foles to even go for that. But even when you watch, you know, it on the sideline, Doug Peterson's just like, yeah, sure. What the heck? Let's try it. See what happens. I don't know that Nick Sirianni 2 years ago had that sort of swagger about him. You know, yeah, what's the worst that could happen? Let's try it. 4th down. Who cares? Let's go for it. You know, nothing to lose type mentality. And that's why it worked because everyone was so confident. I don't know that we as a team were as confident as we needed to be 2 years ago. But like I said, this year, it feels like that confidence is there. And it feels like there's a little chip on everybody's shoulder.
Oh, definitely a chip.
Yeah. I definitely sense a chip with AJ Brown. You know, I'm back here again and I'm here to win it. We're not messing around this time.
Well, these guys haven't won before. You know
right.
what I mean? These
so
guys
haven't.
Right.
And they're younger.
Yep.
The team got significantly younger from 2 years ago.
It was funny to watch back that play, the Philly special, because you're watching in the moment, you're not paying attention. So that's the first time I think I actually stopped and watched it. And Doug Peterson's walking over to tell him a play, and Nick Foles is just telling him what he's going to do, and he's like, "All right, let's just do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? We're here at this point. Let's just friggin' do it." Yep. And even when you watched it, like I had to watch the replay again because it happened so quick. I'm like, "What the hell just happened?" And then you had to watch it back to kind of see it. It was not that you got to do that, but just keep them on their toes and don't let them,
No, let's do that. Let's do that again.
They know you're going to try the same exact play.
No,
they can't do the
let's
same
do it.
play.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's all right. If hopefully we're up and you want to put a dagger in their heart.
Yeah, I want to have a little fun.
Have a whole lot of fun. I was trying to get to the 7:00 hour so that we could. John and I have been having a whole lot of discussions, and we're going to get off the. I think we're going to get off the football topic for a minute or two, or what do we usually give John on his rants? 2 minutes.
Yep.
2 minutes.
Is his rant football related?
It can't be.
I don't think so. Matter of fact, it's not, and I don't want to give anything away. But I just figured we'd break up our Super Bowl conversation a little bit because John's got something to get off his chest.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now's the time.
Now is definitely the time. We got – this is the NBA. The NBA, I don't know if you guys – because you guys are basketball people. Have you heard what Adam Silver wants to do? He wants to take 2 minutes off of a quarter and only have 40 minutes of basketball instead of 48.
You gotta let him go, Tony.
I'm just answering yes. I heard him say it.
Yeah, he wants to do that because it's going to fit into making it better for TV and stuff, and try to get it into a 2 hour window where it's 2 hours. The games are only 2 hours and 14 minutes is what they're averaging right now. And I guess they think it's going to get more people watching or more interested in it. I have an idea. How about we, instead of worrying about taking 2 minutes off the clock, how about we not play back-to-back games so we don't have to worry about this load management crap, and players not playing every day when they're healthy, and they just sit out because they played back-to-back games. That's why people don't like basketball anymore. You got Paul George on this team with a jammed pinky finger in his left hand. It doesn't even shoot with, and he can't play a basketball game. He's been out for 3 or 4 games because of that. We didn't have a lot of time when Landon Dickerson was here on Saturday. I really wanted to ask him that and see what his reaction would have been if his teammate would have sat out because of a jammed finger on his pinky finger. When Landon and Cam Jurgens battled through what they did in the NFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. That's why people don't want to watch basketball anymore. It's guys are getting paid buku dollars. I mean, Embiid's getting paid $90 million, $60 million a year. Uh-oh, my time go out? And, it's he's sitting out. There was a stat. He's played like 867 games in his career. 400 of them that he missed, and he only played 467 of the 867 games. And you wonder why the Sixers stink. You got a guy. You went through a process, and it stinks. Play the games, and not worry about what's going on. That and I'm worried about 2 minutes. That's horrible. I don't know what you guys think, but I got to take a deep breath.
Well, I think I don't understand the reason. I didn't read it as much as I should. I sort of skimmed through it. It sounds like he wants to take those minutes off because internationally everyone plays that amount of time.
Right.
Better for international. I don't really understand the reasoning for that. But the NBA definitely has a problem with the superstars, not just in Philadelphia,
no,
but everywhere. I mean, if I'm paying to go see the Sixers and I'm not seeing Joel Embiid or Paul George, why am I going to that game? Honestly, I mean, those are your stars. So the poor Maxi's got to do everything. Like,
right.
It's just we used to watch almost every night, and it's not because we're not interested in basketball all of a sudden.
It's just lame.
It's just like not enjoyable anymore. Because at least before, if they lost, at least all the players were there.
Right.
This team, it's like Joel Embiid's hanging on by a string, and Paul George, is not going to be there long. And there's no choice. You see the right, well, you got to blow the team up and start over. But they want to grasp it as long as they can to keep selling tickets. And it's time to kind of give up, I think. But
oh yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a couple things wrong with it. It's so offense driven now that nobody plays defense anymore. So whoever has the ball is pretty much going to score. So it just kind of depends on whether it's going to be, 2 points, 3 points, whatever it's going to be. And the refs just suck. I mean, they don't call anything.
I think they're told not
almost
to.
Every possession there's
no travel.
There's a travel. Yeah. Every possession there is a travel. And I don't understand these refs and what they're told, but they do whatever they want. I'm sorry, guys. I keep getting these notifications and I don't know how to silence them. But they just get to do whatever they want. So they're just out there and the guys they just get away with anything. And right. So I just think there's a lot of issues that more so than taking 2 minutes off each quarter.
Right. And then everybody's shooting threes. Now they want to move the 3-point line back too and get rid of the corner three because when they move it back, they won't have a corner spot for threes. So it's like, I don't know. You're just making a gimmick of a game and there's other issues like, that are more important that need to be fixed. And first was that load management crap because, people are paying a lot of money to go see the games and they go there and guys aren't playing. And it's also, like you said, for the other teams as well, that, you had LeBron James coming. He didn't even play, right? I think when he was just in town.
No, he played.
Yeah,
he played, but who didn't play?
Anthony Davis got a bellyache and left the game with an abdominal injury or something.
Well,
right.
Didn't play that game.
What's that?
Embiid didn't play that game when LeBron.
Embiid didn't play.
So, go ahead.
No.
So what I was going to say was, instead, you wake up this morning and there's a headline, that we're supposed to jump up and down for because, Joel Embiid actually showed up and played last night and they beat the Mavericks by 2. Well,
who just lost all their players and gave away their best player?
Looked at the Mavericks record. They're 26-24. Like, okay, yeah, sure, they've got a winning record, but
the NBA
you beat them by 2 points. Okay, and Joel Embiid showed up and did his job. So if that's the case, I should get in the headlines every day because I show up and do my job.
Yeah.
But that's now become something exciting because otherwise it's not the norm.
Basketball is also like it's starting to become like all the stars are going to one team. Like whoever LeBron wants to win, they're coming to play with LeBron. Now that might be on his farewell tour, whatever. But it seems like that's what they do in the NBA. Like, no one's going to X team and just kind of winning it with a bunch of guys that you kind of never heard of football style. It's all these stars coming together, and it makes it not enjoyable. I never liked that. You like the gritty teams that could figure out a way to win, not 17 stars together. Of course they're going to win.
Well, I mean, I go back to '83 when the Sixers won, and you had pretty similar parallels there, bringing a guy in late in the season to help, seal the deal and win a championship and faux. So it was the same. It's different, but it's still the same. But I got to cut you guys short because that was I thought we were going to have a couple of minutes of basketball talk and that was way too much.
All right, sorry.
We and I'd love to talk more hoops with you guys, but this is too big a week, and
of course
we got to get back to X's and O's.
All right,
I just want to keep it. I want to keep it going. I want to keep it keep it real and figure out. We were talking a little bit with the Eagles offense, defense, special teams. We covered, Jake Elliott, it's going to be kicking indoors, so it shouldn't be an issue with, any kind of elements or anything. The field shouldn't be an issue as it was a couple of years ago.
True.
So there's a lot of different things. I guess the thing that scares me the most about Sunday is we've got a lot of young players. And, this is a big time game. The spotlight is on these kids. They're 22, 23, 24 years old. This is their first season in, the National Football League, and here they are going to the Super Bowl. And I don't know, am I putting too much into it? Is it too big a spotlight for these kids? Are they going to be able to play under control? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't, it's easier said than done. But as long as you're not thinking about it that way.
But other than Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, who are you referring to?
Well, you got Carter and Davis up front. I mean, they're young boys. You know what I mean?
But it's not their first season.
No, but it's their first season where they've been full-time starters. You know what I mean? They're getting to play primarily all the downs, and they're the reason, that you're where you're at, because they're getting to the quarterback. They're making him uncomfortable. It's a big game.
Well, it is. But they've been in those guys. Jordan Davis and Carter have been in big games, throughout their college years in Georgia.
I get it.
Quinyon Mitchell wasn't, but I mean it's a little bit different story. But I mean Quinyon hasn't flinched all year, throughout the season. I think he's gotten probably almost better as the season's gone on. And Cooper DeJean the same thing. I guess you might. And I don't know that it's the games or the spotlight's getting too big for them, especially for Cooper DeJean, because he's going to be probably one of the guys that's going to be trying to cover Travis Kelce, along with Gardner Johnson, I would think. So, I mean, there's been a lot of players that haven't had great games against Travis Kelce. So I wouldn't say if Travis Kelce had some catches there that Cooper DeJean was, it was too big of a game for him.
If you look at those guys specifically, like, I know it hasn't been the Super Bowl, but they've shown up every single game that they needed to so far. So I imagine in their minds, they're not thinking of it like us, right? They're probably like, let's just go and, make it like it's another, Sunday game, and let's just win this one game and then it's over with. So
for most of the season, you almost forgot that they were rookies.
I just bring up the question because it's just something that cruises through my brain.
I mean, is there a chance that they get beat on some coverage? Yeah, absolutely. But I saw Jalen Mills last night in Super Bowl 52 get beat on a few too, and he wasn't a rookie. So yeah, I mean, I don't see that as a weakness, though. I guess to answer your question in a few words, I don't see that as a weakness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing a two-time Super Bowl champion right now. You're back to back, right? So it's they're going to score points. Everybody wants to talk about that they're going to blow. Eagles are going to blow them out. Heard Charles Barkley talking today. It was going to be 34-17. I'm like,
there's no way that's going to happen.
No, I mean,
I think to that point, everybody doesn't want to see another dynasty. They don't want to see another New England Patriot type dynasty. They don't want to see the Chiefs win their third Super Bowl in a row. So I think everybody's jumping on the Birds bandwagon at this point.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, and the thing that stinks is if it wasn't for them playing the Chiefs playing the Eagles, I probably would be a Chiefs fan because I like to watch greatness play. Except for that they're playing the Eagles this year. It's great seeing good players play at the top of their game.
These leagues kind of do it to themselves, like wearing people out with the teams because, what do you do on Sunday Night Baseball? You show the Yankees and Red Sox. Well, if you're not in those two markets, you're so tired of the Yankees and Red Sox. But anytime there's a winner, you sort of beat it over people's heads. So no one wants to see it happen again. But again, the reason you've seen so many Chiefs games is because they're forcing it on you at 8 p.m. And of course you're going to watch it. So Patrick Mahomes himself isn't wearing me out. It's all the coverage of all the stuff that they show every week is what's wearing me out. Mm-hmm. Then the commercials and the this and the that, it's enough. Like,
how about Taylor Swift? Is she wearing you out?
I'm not yeah. She seems nice.
I don't know why everybody's so bothered by her.
I'm not bothered by her. She's from Reading. It's a great thing, but it's enough after a while. Let's.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much about like it. The attention's going to her too much versus off the football, and it's not. She's cheering.
She's a mega. She is the most prominent musical artist right now.
Oh, of course she is. Yeah.
In the world. So if there was anybody there that was of the same caliber as her, they would show her too. And it's just helpful that she's young and attractive and, always looks nice. So that adds to it. And then, she brings a whole new group of people to football that just helps kind of grow the game. I don't think we see her as much as we did last year. I don't think you see her as often on TV as we did last year, but I don't know. She doesn't bother me as much, and I'm certainly no Swiftie, so I don't think what she brings to the table is as bad as everybody thinks.
Well, I think too, and I hope we don't see her as much on Sunday either, because that means that Travis Kelce is not doing much, or the Chiefs aren't scoring a lot as well, because every time the Chiefs do score or Travis gets a catch, then they're showing her, cheering in the box, which I
just hope that she's part of a surprise halftime show with Kendrick Lamar, because the two of them have a song together. And that seems like a very Taylor Swift thing to do, is not be the halftime show, but show up and be part of that with him, which I think would be really cool.
I think that would be good.
Is this breaking news?
No, I don't know anything, but I'm just saying Kendrick Lamar would not have been my first choice for a halftime show. I'm not really sure what the desire is there to have picked him specifically. I think there's a lot of people in his genre and category that they could have went with instead. So my only thought was, do they have something kind of in their back pocket that?
Okay. But didn't he just win 5 Grammys this week?
Yeah, he did, and I think part of that was to sort of beef up, Sunday as well. But he's just not. Is he a name that either one of you had heard prior to this Super Bowl halftime announcement?
The Super Bowl, you want to go with a general name that everyone knows, so you could have went with a lot of.
For example, if they would have went with like a Jay-Z.
Ludacris
or a Bruno Mars, those are people you've probably at least heard of because they're kind of like a mainstream name. Kendrick Lamar is a bit of it's a tricky one. So,
like John said, 5 Grammys on Sunday night. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I could see it already. Already. Don't even look at the Facebook comments. I'm going to predict you what the halftime. Unless Taylor Swift shows up and plays one of these songs, if she does, they'll say that was the saving grace of that. If not, you're going to see a lot of people that said, I don't understand what he was saying. I don't like it. I could see it already. It doesn't even have to happen. I could see it.
Yeah. But this isn't a music show. So that was just my point about Taylor Swift.
All right.
I said the 5 Grammys because I'm a music person.
You big Kendrick Lamar fan.
Oh yeah.
I bet.
Don't know one of us. I don't know the artist as much, but like if I heard songs that
I'll play him for you on Saturday, and I guarantee you, unless he collaborated with somebody else, you haven't heard just his music either.
And John collaborated with his 2 sons, Tyler and Kyle.
Absolutely,
because that's where that came from.
The 5 things. No, the winning the 5 Grammys, that was not them at all.
That was just a Facebook article he saw.
No, it was actually on the radio. I heard it.
Okay, all right.
All right. So we're gonna.
He beat out Taylor Swift too.
He did. That's right.
Now we're going to put this show on rewind, and we're going to go back to the opening kickoff. Heads or tails? Who wins a coin toss? Who defers? Who gets the ball first?
Well, normally my superstition is I always want the Eagles to win the coin toss. I always want us to defer, and I want to get the ball at halftime.
Okay.
Well, I also learned in watching Super Bowl 52 last night that did not happen when we won. We lost the coin toss, and we did not get the ball at halftime. So there goes my superstition.
Well, it's over. It's over.
So my thought is, I don't really care what happens. I don't care if it's heads or tails. I don't care who gets the ball first or at halftime, as long as the Eagles win.
That seems to be the bottom line of tonight.
But heads. I don't like it. Tails seems bad.
I always go tails.
All right. Well, that's what makes this
Tails
show.
never fails.
Okay.
All right. One more.
What would you do? What would you go?
Me?
You asked the question.
You know what? I take it all in stride because I think, the official goes out of his way, this is heads, this is tails. You know what I mean? It's like a big production. You know what I mean?
And then when you win, it almost feels like it gives you sort of this like upper hand. But I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. But on Super Bowl Sunday, I want to win everything. So give me the coin toss, give me the game, give me all of it. I want to win it.
All right.
And the only reason why it's a production is because it's not a heads or a tails on it. It's logos.
Yeah,
Right.
it's something fancy.
And he has to explain everything.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's whatever you do, like I said, if you win, hopefully we defer and we get the ball in the second half and go from there because we double up. And
One more asinine question. What's the coolest prop bet?
I didn't even look. I didn't even look this year. Usually the one I hear about all the time is the Gatorade color.
Right.
But I didn't even look at anything this year. If there's
I'm
anything.
sure there's one about how many times they'll show Taylor Swift. There's probably an over-under on that.
It's usually a time on the singing and the anthem and the.
And what the first type of commercial will be. Is it a car commercial? It is a beer commercial?
Yeah, it's all non-football related.
Yeah, I never know what that means. Is that the commercial right after the national anthem, or is that the commercial right after like the first play of the game when they go to
the kickoff, like right after the kickoff?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know when that is either to answer that question, but
yeah, it's very confusing
I did see commercials. I think they said are $8 million
for 30
for 30
seconds.
seconds, which is outrageous.
I also noticed.
It takes me out.
Yeah, I figued. I think also we're supposed to probably have it in by now. So
Yeah, but I would want to FaceTime it. So for $8 million.
well, they've said though everybody last year was what it was like 7.5 million last year. They said that everybody made more money back afterwards. So it wasn't a, it sounds like it's crazy, but they made their money back in
And what ended up being the commercial last year? Was it the puppies? Was it the puppies again?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Remember the commercials last year. It was who played in the Super Bowl? The Chiefs and who?
Chiefs and the 49ers.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. But I have noticed a lot of like pre-Super Bowl commercials. Have you guys seen that too? Like something coming 2/9/25.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost like these pre-game Super Bowl
I
commercials.
think there's gonna be a lot of commercials of things you never even heard of. There's gonna be a lot of AI type commercials, and you're gonna say, "What the heck?" A lot of commercials we're gonna have to look up and say, "What is that?"
Yeah.
New car companies that are all electric, stuff like that. There's gonna be a lot of new things. I think there's gonna be less and less of like Doritos and beer. They're not selling as well as they used to.
Right.
Kids aren't eating that stuff anymore, and they're gonna see more of these technology based things that you're gonna have to look up.
I mean, people will spend their entire marketing budget just on that.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't even really watch the commercials, to be honest.
Is that when you get up and go get a sandwich?
Yeah, that or just whatever. I don't because to be honest, they haven't really been that good the past couple of years.
No.
So.
they haven't, but I don't know. I love it all. I love the
Yeah.
commercials, all the pomp and.
All right, so here's
once the game's on, it's all game time.
Here's the this fan's view prop bet, and we got to come up with something creative. So, who do we see more, Jason Kelsey or Taylor Swift?
Oh. Well, they're probably going to be in the same box.
Maybe.
I would be willing to bet that.
I don't know about that because that's awkward.
Also, we'll get back to your prop bet. But is it just me, or was anybody else a little disappointed in Jason's answers about who he would be rooting for this Sunday?
He said the Eagles.
He sort of said the Eagles.
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
But then he said the kids would have Uncle Trav shirts on and that they would be rooting for Travis, but that they were also an Eagles fan. But either way, we'll be happy on Sunday.
Oh, no. Kylie definitely said it was all Eagles.
No, she did not.
She did.
She said, I bleed Eagles green, so that's first and foremost. But she said we did get the kids Uncle Trav shirts to wear because they're fans of their uncle. And that she's the one who said, and either way, we'll leave there happy on Sunday.
Well, she said her dad would disown her if she rooted for the Kansas City. So it might be because of the kids, but not. I mean, of course they're going to be happy for Travis. Of course they're going to be happy for Travis if they end up winning.
They're Eagles fans. We don't have time for Uncle Trav, okay? Uncle Trav already won 2 Super Bowls back to back. It's enough of this.
Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls. He's dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, how much more does a man need in his life? I think he's got enough.
He could lose one.
Yeah. So I was a little disappointed in Jason and Kylie's answers. And maybe I was alone in that, but I was really expecting sort of like a resounding.
All right,
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that answer though, Lauren, because
we got a question from one of our listeners. The biggest question is, what time is pregame at Buffalo Wild Wings on Sunday? So,
well, you went there last Sunday to do all the coordination, so
that's very important. Timing is everything. You know what I mean? The groundwork is laid. So just saying. You got important stuff, and then you got.
I'm asking a question. So what's the answer?
I don't have one. I don't have a final answer. Maybe 3:00.
I was going to say you went on last Sunday at 2:00. You gotta keep it consistent.
Well, you're the big guy with all the theories of I can't ruin the superstition. I can't ruin the juju. I can't ruin the karma. I can't come because.
Johnny, do you wear the same thing every game day?
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
Johnny hasn't seen his underwear since September.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
With underwear.
All right.
You got to get back to your prop bet.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Jason Kelsey.
Well,
is he more?
Yeah, but you threw out the whole thing where Taylor could possibly be part of the surprise entertainment.
Yeah, but I don't know anything. Don't go.
Yeah,
on.
I know, but that's a good theory. That's
my hope for saving the halftime show, because otherwise it's going to stink.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because to be honest with you, I mean, what happened to John?
He's gone.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
I'm here.
He left.
I'm here. The camera just falls
It's just
off.
going to be Jason because he's got connections to both.
Well, and he's been.
I should remember.
I don't know how to say this, but I mean, where a lot of people are tired of Taylor and seeing Taylor through the game. I mean, Jason is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He's even said it himself.
He is freaking everywhere. I mean, he's doing. I'm sure he'll be in out in the parking lot tailgating with fans, just like he was last week for. I think he did it for ESPN, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, yeah.
And I mean,
think
does he have burnout? Written on his forehead. I mean, because he's on the verge of burnout.
Well, I mean, he is the definition of strike while the iron's hot. So he's striking.
There's only one more week. There's only 4 days left.
Well, the only thing that could hold a lot of it back is because it's on Fox. He's not a Fox guy,
right?
Technically.
And I'm sure he probably had that opportunity and picked ESPN.
Right.
And then that's why they went after Tom Brady. So that's a good point.
Well, here's the technicality that people may ask about. What happens, like Lauren said, if they're in the same booth and both Kelsey, Travis, or Jason and Swift happen to be in the same picture? Does that count as one?
No, they cancel each other out.
All right, so just needed clarification for it.
All right. So can I ask the not so favorable question?
100%. But keep in mind, I've got you down for Lauren's layup, which I don't know if that,
It is.
Okay. I just, I don't want to take away from anything because you're usually pretty good at this.
I mean, no one is going to like this question, but what happens if they don't win on Sunday?
Run it back.
We were 2 minutes away from not even having this question asked. I don't know. I'm trying not to think about it.
You do nothing, right? The Phillies should have won. You do nothing. The Eagles should have won. You do nothing. You come down to one game. It could go either way. You're going to blow it up for
this is the best of one.
Yeah.
This is it.
I don't think anything gets blown up. I don't think, if they lose on Sunday that they demolish the whole team. I remember leaving Buffalo Wild Wings in 2023 and I wanted to just.
Well, that's just you're upset.
It was disappointing. It was disappointing. We were depressed. We were so close.
But one just feels like there's just no way they can lose.
Well, we talked a lot of X's and O's, probably the most X's and O's that this show has ever talked about. I don't even want to go. I don't want to cross that bridge. I really don't. I don't know how you guys. I know you must have thought about it because you asked the question. It would be after the season that we've had, to come, full circle from Brazil to 2-2 to losing one game in 13.
Yeah.
That I just feel like, and I'll swing back to the Phillies because, all we heard was Red October. This team was built for the playoffs. This team was built for September and Red October and this and that. That's pretty much what we've been hearing about the Eagles, that, the job isn't finished until, we bring home the hardware.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I guess it all depends on how it ends.
Yeah.
But a loss is a loss.
But like how they lose. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, if they lose again, 20-17 type of thing, with last second field goal like they did in 23, it's not as big of a deal as if they lose by 18, something like that. They get totally, embarrassed, which I don't think is going to happen. The defense, is too good to keep them in. They'll keep them in the games. I don't know that they nothing's going to get blown up. And again, there goes my thing.
I mean,
nothing gets blown up.
I'm swinging the pendulum.
But keep in mind, they only lost by 3 points in 2023.
Right.
That stupid field goal.
Yeah,
well, if they lose by a field goal again, it's pretty obvious what they're going to do going forward because that's been a crux this year. But let's hope it doesn't come down to that.
Well, it's that, and there is 19 free agents on the team, so it's not things are going to be different whether they win or lose, as far as the team. So it's not like you're blowing it up even if they win.
I wasn't referring to that anyway. I just was asking the question.
I mean, it's a tough question. Like I said, it really all comes down to how they lose. Because Nick's or do a contract extension. So I mean, he's been in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years, and how could you not have him extend it at this point?
Right.
But if they get blown out and he has more antics like he does, maybe they don't. But I can't see that happening.
All right, I'm cutting you guys off because all these
The bad juju.
it's horrible. It's horrible, and I'm not going to end the show like this.
All right.
So all these professionals, procrastinators have predicted a big Eagles win.
Yep.
They all can't be wrong.
They all can't. But let's go to Robbie's question there and talk about Saquon Barkley to get back on some positive news there. 30 yards away from having the most rushing yards.
He may get that in his first touch on Sunday.
He might. He needs 169 to have the most record for the most rushing yards in the playoffs alone.
MVP of the season, MVP of the Super Bowl, MVP.
And he better tomorrow night get the MVP award, for the league, like you said, because without him, where's this team right now? And if that's not an MVP, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're looking for, because Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, they're both at home right now. So, I know it's a regular season thing, but I don't know that anybody accomplished as much as Saquon Barkley did this year.
No, so. and we could have broken Eric Dickerson's record, had he not sat out. We've gone through all of this.
Exactly.
Can't even think of a negative, pulse for Sunday. It's the biggest game of the year. Our birds are in it.
Yep.
We've propelled to be in one of the top 5 teams in all of football again. With or without the free agents, Howie should be executive of the year. I don't think Nick will get coach of the year, but I think he's done a phenomenal job.
Unfortunately, he's not a finalist, but yeah.
Along with his coordinators who have done a brilliant job, especially Vic Fangio, putting all these, kids in place to be where they are. Lauren's layups. Let's have it.
Why do you make that noise?
Actor does this time.
I'm sorry. I wasn't on last week because I was sick.
Did you bring a doctor's excuse? Because otherwise you can't get paid for the show.
We get paid for these?
See? You got to end the show on a positive note.
All right. So this one is more of anyways, what is your best Super Bowl moment? Like the best memory you have. It can be either from when the Eagles won, or it can be from a Super Bowl party in the past that you've been to, or a game that you've gone to. Well, not a Super Bowl game. You know what I mean? What is your best Super Bowl memory? Maybe a party or a game.
And it doesn't have to be Eagles related.
Right. It doesn't have to be Eagles related. It could be somebody's house you went to in the 80s that was a lot of fun for whatever reason. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be when the Eagles won. But what is your best Super Bowl memory?
Can I go first?
Sure.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Super Bowl 52, right? We've been talking about it all night, right? Because those memories are etched in our heads because we're all Eagles fans. Well,
right.
3 of us anyway. So
he's an Eagles fan by marriage.
Well, exactly. So anyway, going to a friend's house and we're talking about John with superstitions and juju and all that, and going to a friend's house and doing the same thing, every Sunday for these games, going to the same house, doing the same things, and just preparing and meeting the same way for the Super Bowl, and one that we hadn't won in, I forget, how many years was it? 60, 50?
Yeah.
How many years was it? I mean, it was like forever. And, we were able to accomplish that. You know what I mean? And you and I, Lauren and me, we, ran outside crying, hugging, celebrating. I mean, we were able to celebrate together. It was, I'm not going to say it was a long time coming because, I mean, you're only, in your 30s. I still got a little bit of life left in me. So it's not like we're 100 years old. And, but I just remember growing up as an Eagles fan. I never knew I go back to 1980, when we lost, and I went down to the basement and watched the game by myself down there because I was so pissed off, But I mean, just being able to be able, and Shawnee brought up the point, what time's the pregame at Buffalo? Well, Shawnee and I and Sue, and there's been a cast of other people in and out. We do the same thing for all these games, So here we are. We're right back at it Sunday, and I went there last week to make sure, that I didn't have to do anything special, to make sure this could all happen again, and we can all celebrate.
Plus, you kept it alive, the streak going there on Sundays.
Was part of it.
Yeah.
Was part of it. I was thirsty. I like those large $4 Miller Lights.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Johnny, what do you got?
Not to go completely off of with Carl, but yeah, watching the game with the boys for when they won with the Philly special, getting excited, for the boys, being their first real Super Bowl experience was cool. And then I remember, like Carl said, 1980 Super Bowl, my grandparents' place with our nephews and aunts and uncles, and watching the game there, and that was cool up until the kickoff. But
it wasn't much of the game,
right? But that, and then I remember once going out with my dad. It was the 49ers and the Bengals game, I believe it was. Going out to a friend of his house and just watching that game and listening to John Madden, calling the game, which was cool. And I think that was the game where Montana, in the huddle against Cincinnati, had the last minute drive and made a comment in the huddle to the teammates, like, is that John? Was it John Candy? Is it? Was it John Candy, or it was one of the actors? Was it John Candy? I forget the.
Yeah, I don't remember. I can't help you on that one, John.
Yeah, I forget the actor, but it was, you mentioned, like, just to lighten up the mood in the huddle there for that last drive, and then throwing the touchdown pass for them to win. So yeah, there are a lot of good memories for the Super Bowl. And we're gonna add to it Sunday.
So obviously, yes, when they won in 2018, that was pretty special and something I'll always remember. Going back to the superstition you were talking about, that if you remember, it was probably middle of the third quarter and New England started to kind of inch back, and people had gotten up and gone into different rooms, and we basically had to reset. We just made everybody come back to the seats they were in. Everybody had to go back to where they were, and It worked because we won. But my favorite Super Bowl memory, though, is in 2004, because I was old enough to understand what was going on, and I was 14 at the time, and that was the first Super Bowl the Eagles were going to in my lifetime. And Dad, you had made the decision to either go or buy the world's largest TV known to man. And we bought that TV, and it was I don't know, 150 inches. That's what it felt like. 14. It took up the living room.
7,000 pounds.
Yeah. It had this huge back on it because there was no flat screens back then. So it stuck out off the wall. My mom, thought, how could you bring this heinous thing into the house. It's gigantic. What are you going to do with this? It's so big after today. The family came over. I remember Maura Riley was there. It was just, I mean, the game didn't go the way we wanted, but it was just so funny. We had that TV for so long. And then I forget, was it right when the Phillies went to the World Series that this light bulb, this critical light bulb inside this enormous TV blows? Like it just goes out one day. And they don't make this TV anymore because, 6 people bought it. One of us being one of them. So now we have to like overnight a light bulb from like the depths of China somewhere. And it's like $1 trillion to get this light bulb to the house in time so we can screw it back in. And there's a guy on the phone telling us, okay, we got to unscrew this box and open this. And then there was the light bulb. And then, you put it in and all of a sudden the TV works again. And, the Phillies win the World Series in 2008. But that TV sticks in my mind more so than anything when I think about an Eagles Super Bowl is just how ridiculous that thing was. And we had it for years and my mom came to love it. So,
Great story.
Oh, yeah.
Great story.
Oh, you have a great one. I just liked when I was little, I would go to my dad's, whoever his coworker's house was, and it was fun because we were usually the only kids because some of those coworkers were maybe a few years younger than them, or they were single guys or whatever. So it was always at someone's apartment or always someone's house, and it was just fun because you got to stay up late and they're drinking beer, whatever they're drinking. So you're just killing all the snacks and around and not paying attention, just playing. If there's any other kids, you're playing with them. So just those fun memories, and then driving back home afterwards. It's always some different house every year, so it was neat.
Yeah, the Super Bowl I think is one thing that even if your team isn't in it, you still have a lot of fun regardless of what's going on.
Oh, 100%. You can still enjoy all the snacks and food and it's being a sports person, and then you sit there and cuss and you're like, my team could have done better than that.
It's a little easier when your team's not in it. It's a little less stressful.
Well, right. But like you said though, when the Eagles had that Philly special, that was the ball game for me. As soon as they made that, I had said to Tyler and Kyle, I'm like, the Super Bowl's over. We just won it right, with that play, and of course Tyler with his joke and his superstition. They can't say that. You can't say it. You're going to jinx it. I'm like, no, that was the play.
That's how I felt when this photo started circulating. Did you guys see it? That they're testing out the graphics and it says, Eagles Super Bowl champions to make sure.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Okay, and I can't see that. Don't show me that stuff. That's why I have a love-hate relationship with social media, because some things don't need to be seen beforehand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was definitely a turning point of the game. Right there, right before halftime. You basically you Belichick in that situation right there, and that was the best part of that game right there.
All right, so we've come to the part of the show where we need to make a prediction. We need scores. I mean, I'll certainly go first, and you guys can let me know what you want me to fill in. I got the Birds winning 28-24.
28-24. Okay.
I told it to Tyler 21-17. Still saying 4 points, but.
Mind you, the spread's 1.5.
I don't know what that means.
The Eagles are getting that 1.5. They're the underdogs.
The Chiefs. Mind you, the Eagles are the home team, so they're at home getting 1.5
in New Orleans.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know the score, but yeah, I feel like.
Well, the whole point.
I don't know. I don't know. 17-13.
17-13.
I don't think there's going to be that many points. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 31-21.
Wow, the old 10-point, victory. I like it. I like it.
I think as long as the refs allow them to play like they played that the Super Bowl we just watched, and the refs don't get into it because that's all the complaints have been about lately. And we don't want to talk about that today because the show's got to end. But people have been really getting on, Kansas City for getting calls. Let's not worry about that. Let's just let the guys play. And unless something's egregious, don't call it, and do not call it if it's going to make the game.
Mm-hmm.
How about in rewatching that last night, because it's still fresh in our minds, with the official coming over and talking to the guys, you know what I mean? And, pretty much, laying out, how things are going to go. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that,
Well, it'd be great to have that. Some of those guys are probably retired, but can we have that exact same crew? Because they let them play.
Right.
And they let them play, and they didn't call anything ridiculous, and it seemed like a nice, fair game. So just do it again.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Eagles. The last two Super Bowls have been the two highest scoring games. So, but I just don't. I just like.
Well, it's got the potential for a lot of points because you've got you've got the dynamics of two young aggressive quarterbacks. Really good wide receivers on both sides of the ball, a running back that's dynamic, you know what I mean? And
I just see a lot of ball control, though. That's the only thing for both.
Yeah,
both
but
teams.
that's not KC. That's not their mojo. You know what I mean? That's not what they do.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah,
Yep.
as like we said, as long as it ends up with the 1 point Eagles favor, it doesn't matter.
Yep, there you go. Hey, great show. It's our Super Bowl show. It's our last show to talk about what the season was all about, and I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Any closing comments, thoughts, anything?
Well, you got to remember to come out Saturday. Make some plans to come out here Saturday for the Eagles Super Bowl pre-game extravaganza here at Carl's Cards. And we're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to see Fred Barnett and Kevin Riley, two Eagles greats, who are going to be here signing autographs. We're going to have a lot of fun throughout the whole day. A lot of money being raised for Eagles autism. So come on out and check out the items, because there's going to be a lot of cool raffles that are going to be raffled off.
Always have cool raffles. Eagles super fan Sean Young will be in the house.
Sean Young, Woodland String Band.
Lauren's got a guest to announce as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everything will be up on the Carl's Cards page over the next couple days. So just head over there, and between 12 and 3 on Saturday. So make sure you stop by.
There you go. Should be a lot of fun with the Woodland String Band. We'll do it in the honor of Bill Berge, who passed away a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
We had him there at the store, and he enjoyed it. And so we get to do it's a do-over. So we get to do it right this time.
Exactly.
We get to do it all right this time. So with the ending being a victory and a parade and a big ass party and everything in between.
Yep. So when's the parade? Are we talking Wednesday, Thursday next week, depending on the weather?
I guess, yeah, depending upon Old Man Winter.
Yeah. So
yep,
it'll be fun.
Guys,
just remember to stay on the right side of the road there on the parkway, so you don't get stuck on the wrong side like we did the last time. Because otherwise you got to walk 17 miles to get back to your house. It was a half a block away.
I don't know what you're talking about, but all right.
Oh, we were stuck. We went to my sister's, she lives right down off the parkway, right by the prison. So she was like 5 or 6 blocks away, type of thing. We had to walk. I think we went all the way down Broad Street. We were down by City Hall, and we had to walk all the way down there to turn back around, because got stuck on the wrong side of the road and it was closed off, and
Mm.
the parkway was closed, and they wouldn't let anybody cross back over.
Wow.
So yeah, be careful. Make sure you're on the right side. Just because it looks like you might get to the front of the line on the other side, don't go taking that route.
You kind
you'll
of
still
just
see
give us
players.
all a heads up.
Oh yeah, because that wasn't fun. That
Right.
was a lot of walking that day. After standing around. So, but yeah, no, it was a great time though. Enjoy. This is best time for Eagles football, right?
This is our year. This is it.
Yep.
EAGLES.
Eagles.
Let's go. Everybody hits.
I was just gonna say, Shawnee with everybody hits. You got it.
Let's go. Let's go.
All righty. Let's go. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.